Hello, everybody. My name is Hassan Sorrells. I'm the Principal Conflict Engagement Consultant, founder and CEO of Human Services Consulting and Training based out of Endicott, New York. And today, we are going to cover time management. Time management is the system, it is the process, it is the philosophy, mindset, and ideas behind managing your time effectively in order to accomplish goals in your organization, in your team, or even in your family and social life. Time management includes why this is important. It includes what we are going to be using as far as processes and effective practices. It includes thinking and understanding about systems and how they all meet together inside of your organization. Finally, time management, and what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about hacks. We're going to talk about best practices. We're going to talk about your to-do list and calendars and action programs. We're going to talk about all of these things in the course of pursuing the best methods for you to manage your time the most effectively. Now, let me be clear. Time management is not always seen as being sexy, right? I mean, who thinks that scheduling time on your calendar for your kids or for a social event or even to have that important meeting at work is actually fun and interesting, right? But the fact of the matter is, the more scheduling you do, the more ruthless you become with your time, and the more effective you become, the closer you get to accomplishing your goals, the goals in your personal life, the goals in your work life, and even the goals in your family life. Now, today, we are going to cover all of those areas. We're going to cover how to accomplish goals and set them. We're going to cover how you think about time management. We're going to cover how to use systems and set up processes intentionally and deliberately so you can get the most out of time management. And I will give you practical tips, practical hacks, practical solutions to your most pressing time management problems. And we're going to do it all in about a half hour. So please join me and Human Services Consulting and Training as we go along on this time management journey. Hello, and welcome back. Now we're going to explore in our first section, what is time management? When we think about the definition of time management, it's critically important to think about how we think of the management of time. And the critical key definition that you're going to want to absorb right now is that time management is literally the management of your time. Thinking about how time, when it is divided up into discrete elements, minutes, seconds, days, weeks, months, and years, how that impacts where you want to go and the goals that you want to accomplish. In order for us to think about time management effectively, and what is time management, we have to consider the skills that we bring to managing our time. Do we have the ability to set boundaries? Do we have the ability to be ruthless, and I'm going to go back to this word over and over again, with our time? Do we have the ability to say no effectively, particularly in an organization where we might not feel comfortable saying no? Do we have the ability to effectively deal with interruptions, distractions, and of course, all those other kinds of social pressures and stresses that come to us throughout the day? Next, when we think about what time management is, we have to think about hacks. We have to think about all those kinds of ways we try to trick our minds, we try to trick our to-do lists, and we try to trick other people into effectively navigating our limited time. Finally, the most important thing when you need to think about the definition of what is time management is mindset. How we think about time, how we think about the management of time really matters. Are we more polychronic or monochronic? What are the messages culturally, socially, familially that we have brought into organizations, into our teams, and into our leadership styles that have impacted how we manage time? There are three processes to managing your time, and we're going to talk about all three today. But we have to start with your mindset, how you think about time. And mindset covers two areas in time management. It covers the how we think about time and the what we think about. Now, the how and the what can be divided up into two discrete categorizations, two discrete ways of thinking, two discrete mindsets around time management. The first time management mindset is one that is more polychronic. A polychronic mindset views time as being never-ending. It views time fundamentally as being something that, while it is in discrete units and can be divided up, we're not in a hurry to get anywhere. We're actually moving through time. We're flowing through time effectively. A polychronic mindset views time as a partner rather than as an enemy. The second kind of mindset that we have, that we sometimes see in our organizations, is a monochronic mindset. The monochronic mindset around time and time management basically says that not only can time be divided into discrete parts, but that time is limited. Time is a commodity. Time is money. You can't get more time, or even better, the time that we have is valuable, but we really don't know what the value of that time is, other than we can't get more of it. A monochronic mindset views time as going in one direction, consistently going forward, and it's not a flow, it's more like a dispute or a battle that we're doing with time. When we think about the three processes that we have to manage time and to effectively accomplish our goals, understanding our mindset, understanding our how we think about time, and understanding what we think about time really matter. When we think about the three processes for managing your time, we have to critically think about the second area, which is hacks. Look, the reality of time management, the reality of this topic is time management hacks are everywhere. Matter of fact, if you just put time management hacks into your favorite search engine on the internet, you will come up with millions, dare I say, billions of possible solutions. You'll come up with information and suggestions from personal development coaches, bloggers, journalists, and of course, consultants and experts in the field of time management and productivity. Look, the reality about hacks is that they are everywhere. So no matter what hack you pick, and you will pick a hack, no matter what hack you pick, they should be stacked for effectiveness. There's nothing wrong with time management hacks. What's wrong if you just use one and then abandon it later on? Now, later on, we're going to talk about in this video habit stacking. Now, habit stacking is really interesting, but when you talk about time management, particularly when you're developing a process and you're using a hack, I don't care whether it's one hack, 3 hacks, 5 hacks, or 9 or 11 hacks, you need to stack them for effectiveness. Lastly, when you think about hacks, particularly in time management, they should be used for managing interruptions and distractions. There was once a philosopher that said, hell is other people. And in organizations, interruptions and distractions very often come from email notifications, they come from meetings, but they primarily come from other people and the relational interactions that we have. Any hacks that you are using in time management to manage your time should be effectively deployed against interruptions and distractions in order to effectively reduce your stress, build your resilience, and leave you with the feeling that you're actually accomplishing more with the time that you have. When we're thinking about our time management and our 3 processes for managing your time, we must think about processes. Look, no matter what process you choose, no matter how you choose to put it together, processes must meet 3 important requirements. Number 1, processes must be repeatable. You have to be able to replicate a process on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and so on. That way you can get the most effectiveness out of that time management process. Processes must be intentional. The watchword you should have in your time management strategy, the watchword you should have in whenever you're building a time management process is no more accidents. Intentionality is everything. Lastly, processes must be consistent. You must be able to apply them with commitment and consistency over time, or else they won't be as effective as they could be. Consistency is key because without it, your organization, your team, your boss, even your family and friends won't believe that you're managing your time effectively, and more importantly, you won't be persuading yourself that you're managing your time effectively. Above all else, no matter what process you choose, and no matter how you choose to build it, your processes must work for you. Not for your brother, not for your sister, not even for your coworker. The processes that you have in time management must work for you in order to be effective. When we think about designing systems to manage your time, the first tool that's almost on everybody's desk in every organization is, of course, calendars. Calendars come in a couple of different forms. You have paper-based calendars, and increasingly, we have calendars on our digital devices, our phones, obviously, our PDAs, our laptops, and of course, embedded into our proprietary email systems inside of our organizations. Calendars are effective for auditing your day, auditing your week, and of course, auditing your quarter. Calendars are an effective tool in order for you to figure out what's going on Monday, what's going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and of course, Saturday and Sunday. Most people don't use calendars effectively. Most of the time, we use calendars as tracking tools for our to-do lists, which we'll talk about next, but that's not where they're most effective, and it's not where they can provide the most value for you in a time management scenario. So take a look at your calendar, and let's do an audit of our day. When you're thinking about creating systems to manage your time, the number one thing that everybody uses to manage their time is a to-do list. Now, to-do lists typically for most folks are a trap, and here's why. We list every possible thing that we can do during the day. And some of your to-do lists run from 15 things to 25 things to even 50 things. How can you possibly get all that done in one 8-hour period? The answer is you can't. So I've got a very simple way for you to think about to-do lists effectively. Number one, only have 5 things on your to-do list. Only list your top 5. The top 5 things that you are going to do in order to win the day. Number 2, cross off each thing as it's done. Look, there's this amazing neurochemical called dopamine. And dopamine is that little moment of pleasure that you get when you've actually accomplished something, or when someone sends you a text that's nice, or when someone likes your Facebook update, or likes your Facebook photo. Look, dopamine is important because what it does is it motivates you to do more. And when you cross off each item is done, you get a little dopamine hit. Number 3, add things to the list once items are crossed off and not a moment before. Look, when you have a top 5 list, it's only 5 things. That's it. No more. Number 4, emergencies or fires should be treated as part of your top 5, and they should always be placed in the number 1 slot. Some of you come to me, and some of you say, hey, San, I try to do a top 5 list, but here's what happens. I walk into the office, I walk into the factory, I walk to my desk, and I've got 5 fires to put out. What do I do then? Here's what you do. You list all 5 of those fires, you put 1 in the number 1 slot, and then you cross it off, and you go to the number 2 slot, and you cross it off. And the standard things that you have during the day then fall on a to-do list for tomorrow. And lastly, number 5, emails and phone call interruptions should be treated as tasks. Emails and answering emails are a task, and we don't acknowledge this enough. Answering phone calls and dealing with phone call interruptions and the tasks that come about because of them suck up our time and eat away at our time, and they are a task in and of themselves. So guess what? They should be added to the to-do list. If you do a top 5 list to win your day in this way, your to-do list will help you better manage your time. When you're thinking about creating systems to manage your time, one of the key components, now that you've got your calendar down and your to-do list down, are action plans and programs. Action plans and programs exist to help you accomplish goals, either goals for the week or goals for the month. Now, there's a distinction with a difference between plans and programs. Action programs are focused on mid-range goals, the ones that you want to accomplish during the week. Action plans, however, are focused on long-term goals, goals that you want to accomplish during the month. Now, when we think about this and think about it effectively, one of the things we have to consider is that sometimes action plans and programs are being given to us or being put upon us by people who have no idea how we are managing our time. Well, when that happens, one of the things that you have to do is you have to go back to your to-do list. You must go back to your to-do list in your calendar in order to accomplish the goals that have been given to you through these action plans and programs. Keep in mind, in order to have success using either action plans or programs, tracking and auditing your time is the key to having success. Tracking and auditing without a to-do list, tracking and auditing without a calendar can't happen. And if you want to use action plans and programs effectively inside of your organization in order to manage your time, you need to track and audit for success. When you think about the systems that are around inside of your organization to manage your time, one of the big tools that all organizations use are project management tools. Now, project management tools are great. They allow us to work in groups. They allow us to be notified and message each other. They bring together a bunch of disassociated little programs like Messenger, email, calendars, and to-do lists into one area, and they allow other people to see what's going on in our desks and in our projects, and they allow us to see what's going on there. Some common names that you may hear in project management tools, some common project management ones commercially on the market right now are Trello, Asana, and even Basecamp. Now, it doesn't matter what the project management tool is that you are using. It doesn't matter if it's an organic one that you've cobbled together inside of your organization. It doesn't matter if it's a proprietary one that you've built with your IT department. It doesn't even matter if it's a commercial one that you've bought on the market somewhere. The key thing, the key way to manage your time better using any project management tool is to navigate and successfully turn off your notification functions. Notifications are interesting. They're great. Notifications make your emails pop up, and they give you reminders when you have things to do or places to go. But they can also be a cause of stress. They can also cause you to stop managing your time effectively because you're more worried about how are you going to accomplish this new thing that has popped up into your to-do list and onto your radar. When you get a handle on notification functions in any project management tool, you will have more time management success. When we think about going into this next section, practical hacks to manage your time, we're going to look at 4 different areas where you have to get practical in order to manage your time effectively. The first area is division of tasks. Now, when we think about division of tasks, typically we divide up tasks into 2 different piles. We say that tasks are either hard or easy. Hard or easy is a determination that's made based upon the stress level that these tasks cause us, or how we think of how much time it's going to take to accomplish them. So there are 3 areas that you're going to want to consider when you think about division of tasks. When you take a piece of paper, make 2 columns, and divide up your to-do list. Number 1, the level of stress that they create. If a task creates a lot of stress for you, it's probably hard. If a task creates no stress for you, it's probably easy. Think about it this way. If you have to have a go and have a conversation with your supervisor about a raise or about a change in your work style or work plan, that's probably going to be hard. However, if you're going to schedule a coffee with a friend at your local barista or your local favorite coffee shop about the conversation you just had, that's probably going to be easy because the stress level is lower with your friend than it is with your boss. The second consideration you're going to have in the division of tasks is the amount of time it takes to accomplish each task. Remember I said at the beginning of this, we have the exact same number of hours in the day as everybody else. The time on this doesn't matter. How you think about the division, how you think about the level of stress matters for how much time it will take to accomplish a hard task versus an easy one. This is why we need to bring hard tasks to the front and do them first, and put easy tasks on the back burner. It's kind of like giving ourselves a reward, the same way we do when we cross off items on our to-do list. Finally, what is the level of concentration and focus that each task requires for success? Some hard tasks require very little concentration and focus, whereas some easy tasks require quite a bit. This may seem counterintuitive, and only you know what level of concentration and focus you have to place to a task in order to accomplish it. But division of tasks is one of the key hacks to be able to practically manage your time effectively. When we think about practical hacks to manage your time, the second key one is task stacking. Now, task stacking may seem familiar to you. You may confuse it with multitasking, or you may even associate it with habit stacking, which we're seeing a lot of now in organizational behavioral literature and other places. But it's not to be confused with either one of those. Task stacking, the hack of stacking tasks, is about combining previous tasks with new ones. So for instance, if you are getting into a car and you need to make a phone call, you just talk to your phone, you talk to your car, and there's the call. That's an example of task stacking where you're combining previous tasks with new ones. The second thing to consider with task stacking is you must stack new tasks next to old tasks. Now, new and old are merely in your head. And when you stack, think about it this way. You do take a lot of time to accomplish one task on your to-do list. And usually there's a lot of other things floating around the edges of that. Sometimes they're interruptions, sometimes they're distractions, but for the most part, they're tasks you have to accomplish inside of accomplishing that one task on your to-do list. The act of stacking new tasks next to old ones is task stacking. The third thing to consider is this one. Multitasking does not equal task stacking. The neuroscience around multitasking is clear. It takes around 20 minutes for you to regain focus on one task after you've lost it through an interruption or a distraction, or even through having to accomplish another task. So multitasking doesn't work. As a matter of fact, it erodes your concentration and focus, and actually allows you to accomplish less in more time. Since multitasking is not task stacking, in fact, what it is it's about leveraging patterns of behavior in order to accomplish more with the time that's already been given to you. And we will see how task stacking goes into our next practical hack, which we'll explore in a moment. The third practical hack to managing your time is a consideration around progressive adding. Progressive adding is a concept that's not new. It's what ends up happening to you when you find out that you actually have more time than you thought you did. Progressive adding is about you being intentional and deliberate in what you add to your to-do list. It is about you being ruthless with your time. It's about where these concepts become more important. There are three things to consider with progressive addition. Number one, slowing down. Slowing down, being intentional, being deliberate, considering, can I add this to my already full stack, or do I need to say no? The second thing to consider with progressive addition is making critical decisions. When you are progressively adding more things to your to-do list, When you're progressively crowding your time, you better be deliberate and intentional about it, and you better be making critical decisions and choices about what you're going to add and what value that thing adds to your day. Finally, progressive addition is about managing pressure on your time. As you begin to habit stack, as you begin to think intentionally and deliberately, as you begin to get a hold of your to-do list, your calendar, your action programs, and your project management tools, you are going to experience pressure. Sometimes from other people, but sometimes because now you realize you have more time freed up to accomplish the things that you wanted to accomplish. And of course, when you have more time freed up, more things come in. Making those critical decisions and managing pressure on your time is what progressive addition is about. But you cannot accomplish progressive addition without being intentional and deliberate. The fourth practical hack that we have to consider to manage your time is progressive subtracting. Just like progressive adding, progressive subtracting has to be intentional and deliberate. When you begin to manage your to-do lists better, when you begin to manage your time better, when you begin to free up hours in your day, you will begin to subtract things. You'll begin to take things off of your list. Progressive subtracting is about protecting white space. White space is that precious thing that allows you to innovate. You know why you're not being as innovative as you potentially could be at work? Well, one of the main reasons is you don't have time to think. You take off one thing off your task list, you remove one thing in your time, and another thing flows into it. Protecting white space in progressive subtracting is key. Number two, progressive subtracting is about saying no and meaning it. No is a key word, and very often in organizations and teams, we fail to say no effectively. One thing you should consider is this: the person above you in the hierarchy that you're saying no to got there by saying no when he or she was at your level in the hierarchy. And in order to manage your time well, saying no and meaning it wouldn't be effective without a third point, which is making a plan to say yes. So sure, say no and mean it on a Monday. Say no verbally or non-verbally. Say no on the phone or via email. Say no on a Monday, but make a plan to say yes on a Tuesday, yes on a Wednesday, or yes on a Thursday, and you will be able to effectively, progressively subtract and manage your time more effectively. So now we have a summary of what we've covered today in the last half hour. I want to divide this up into 4 different sections, and I want to explore each section with you so that you understand what we've talked about today. The very first thing that we needed to address, though, in our summary is eliminating distractions. Distractions are everywhere. They come in the form of interruptions from other people, but the kinds of distractions, or the big kinds of distractions that we have that lay siege to our time, are the ones that come through email, social media, or our cell phones. So this gets to point number 1 when eliminating distractions. Turn off social media, email, and project management notifications. Turn them off. Or set them to times when they will go off automatically. The default setting for most of these settings is to be on all the time. So going back in and turning them off is going to be very valuable for you in your time management. Number 2, monitor your cell phone use at work. Now, many organizations have developed robust social media and cell phone use policies, but the reality is also many other organizations have not. Depending upon what your organization's policy is, you're going to want to follow that clearly. But at a realistic level, you're also going to want to monitor your cell phone use at work. Now, sure, you're going to be using it for email, and sure, you're going to be using it to get critical updates. But once again, what is happening and how are you placing those updates onto your to-do list? Number 3, eliminate mobile phones from meetings. Look, the fact of the matter is meetings are mostly too long. They should actually be 15 minutes shorter than they usually are. And we are distracted in our own meetings, distracted away from tasks and the agenda at hand. So when we eliminate mobile phones from meetings, when we put them outside, we get focused on the task at hand and we get out of there in an appropriate time. Lastly, number 4, create a sleep mode on your phone. I'll be honest, I do not have my phone charging by my bed anymore. I actually put it in another room in my house. If you could create a sleep mode with an app on your phone or charge your phone in another room in your house, do it. Your level of stress and your level of distraction will decrease and you'll be able to manage your time, particularly your personal time, more effectively. The second bullet point in what we've covered today is just say no. No is a key word that helps us preserve our time and manage it better. There are 4 things to consider when we think about just saying no. The first one is that no preserves your time. It actually allows you to do more with the limited resource that you have. Number 2, saying no creates boundaries. It allows people to know what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate, what your time is and what your time isn't. Number 3, it reduces your stress level. Saying no brings down the level of stress because, well, quite frankly, you can't say yes to everything. And number 4, saying no allows you to advance in the organization. It allows you to move up in the hierarchy because you said no to the right things in order to say yes to even righter things. Lastly, there are 2 kinds of no. There's the sandwich no and a direct no. Now, sandwich no's get a bad rap these days because some people think of them as being manipulative or deceitful. A sandwich no typically comes in the form of, yes, thank you for coming to me with a request. No, I can't accomplish that, but please come back again later, and I'll make a plan to say yes then. Sandwich no's allow you to make a plan to say yes. The kind of no, however, that we love to give and that we're very familiar with getting is a direct no. Now, there are times when a direct no is necessary, but there are multiple ways to give a direct no. But when you have both a direct no and a sandwich no in your just say no arsenal, you will effectively and critically, intentionally, and deliberately preserve your time, create boundaries, reduce your stress level, and of course, advance in the organization, which will allow you to manage your time more effectively. Number 4 in what we've covered today is be task-oriented. Yeah, this is about time management, but remember I said at the beginning, I can't give you more time. But what I can give you is the ability to be more task-oriented when you consider these 3 areas. Number 1, give yourself a break. It doesn't matter what you've been doing before you watched this content and before you consumed it. It doesn't even matter what you'll do while you're watching this content and consuming it. What matters is what you're going to do afterward. So give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up if everything on your to-do list doesn't magically fall into place tomorrow. Number 2, break tasks into small parts. The average attention span these days on a task is around 10 to 15 minutes. So with that acknowledgement, break tasks into smaller parts on your to-do list. That way you have more time to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Number 3, record tasks in your calendar and your to-do list for later auditing. Look, when you be task-oriented, when you become task-oriented, auditing becomes a second nature thing. You begin to audit your day, audit your week, audit your month, and ultimately audit your quarter and your year. And this allows you to look back and think about how effective you've been using time management skills. The last point I'd like to make is this one. Be ruthless with your time management tactics. When you're ruthless with your time management tactics, you become more effective. You eliminate distractions. You give yourself a break. You say no when you establish appropriate boundaries. You create an effective to-do list with only 5 things on it. You manage your time effectively. You audit your day. You audit your week. You audit your month. You accomplish goals, both mid-range and long-term. And of course, you're happier with your day. You're happier with the outcomes of your day, and you feel like you have the time to do the things that you want to do, the things you have to do, and the things that other people need you to do. Look, being ruthless with your time management tactics doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you don't have empathy for your fellow man. It doesn't mean that you aren't seeking to move up inside of the organization or the hierarchical structure. It also doesn't mean that you aren't effective. What it means is you focused on the things that really matter, which is the 8 hours you have at work so that you can get accomplished the most that you can possibly get accomplished in that period. Please, if you remember nothing else from today, be ruthless with your time management tactics, and you will be an effective time manager. I want to thank you for watching this video on time management from Human Services Consulting and Training, based out of Endicott, New York. Today, we've covered a variety of different topics, but we've really focused on processes, hacks. We focused on how to effectively use your calendar and your to-do list, how to effectively use project management tools, and how to audit and track items on your to-do list so that you can better manage your time. We also talked about how to just say no, how to eliminate distractions, how to deal with interruptions, and how to turn down the temperature and turn down the pressure around managing your time. I'd like to thank all the folks who helped us put together this video, including Scott Danzig of Sneaky Ghost Films, as well as the staff, employees, fellow consultants, co-workers, and other folks who are working here at Human Services Consulting and Training to bring you this content today. Now, you have a workbook with you, and I hope that you've been utilizing that workbook and following along as you've been watching this content. That workbook is for you. It's to be personalized for you, because guess what? When it gets hard, when implementing these tasks gets difficult, you're going to want to refer back to that content, and you're going to want to reference it for a long time to come. Now, there are links to resources focused around habit stacking, time management hacks, effective priority management, and of course, task orientation and eliminating distractions that are inside of this video and inside of the content that you have right in front of you. So I would encourage you to check out those links and go explore further time management, particularly effective time management. Finally, I want to thank you for your time and attention today. It is the most valuable thing that you have to give me, and I really do appreciate it. Please take time to connect with Human Services Consulting and Training online. So you can type into your friendly search engine, hsconsultingandtraining.com. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you may want to check out our Twitter feed for updates on leadership development, training, and of course, time management. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you out there effectively managing your time.